Namaskar, namaskar, everybody. Namaskar. Uh, it was wonderful to hear such a nice performances. But coming to the main topic, after I was a Margi for a few years, I was working in my office in New Delhi, India. And afternoon time, one senior Margi brother walks in and says, Dada, why are you working here? I said, where should I be? He said, there is everybody going to Calcutta because Baba is giving Dharm Samiksha. So you should rush there before the whole program is called off. And I knew that he was a very sincere and old Margi. So the very next day, I took a flight from Delhi to Calcutta, and I was in Jodhpur Park, standing in the line for my turn for Dharm Samiksha. Without knowing much about what was entailed, when my turn came, I entered the room and did Sashtang Namaskar. And Baba was sitting on the hard bed, wearing a silk kurta. And there were 3, 4 dadas standing around him. And Baba looked at me, and I was thinking, I have had Baba's darshan many times, so there's nothing to worry about what he's going to say, or he's very good to me. This is what I was thinking. And then I see he has a very stern face, and he says, why should you not be punished for your acts of omission and commission? Now, I was not even sure what acts of omission and commission he was referring to, but I said, yes, Baba. And then he said, come closer. So I came closer. And Dadas asked me to put hands up. So I put my hands up. And with a cane, Baba gave me 3 or 4 hits here and 3 or 4 hits here until it almost started hurting when he stopped. And then he named 4 asanas. And one Dada was noting it down. And he said, you can go, my son. And his gaze, his look was so affectionate, so loving. It is difficult to describe. So I did Namaskar and came out of the room. And I was sitting in the hall, and then someone said, after Baba's darshan, you should meditate for some time. So I started meditating, and I felt so light inside, as if big load had been taken away from me. And I was wondering, I said, is this true that my past lives, actions, everything Baba has had a look at, and this is what the result is. And so I sat for meditation for about half an hour and then went home. And I started practicing asanas twice a day. And everything was going perfect. I came back to my hometown. And things went very good. And I kept reflecting upon how I was fortunate enough to have my Guru's darshan at such a close range, and for him to bless me with a few cane shots. The other very interesting incident, which probably I've related before, was when I got my call from the US Embassy to come and collect my visa, or at least come for the interview. And my passport had been submitted to the government office for renewal, Indian passport. So I went to the passport officer and I said, "Sir, it's been almost over a month. Is my passport ready for issue?" And he looks up my file, again looks at me, and he says, no, not yet. We have still to make some investigation. I said, "When should I come?" He said, "Maybe try after a few weeks." And so again, I went after 2, 3 weeks, and the same reply. And I was getting a little concerned because the date from the US Embassy was coming close. So I knew somebody in the government, and I met him and said, "Could you help? Could you find out why they have not issuing my passport?" And he said, "Okay, let me find out." And the next day he called me up and he said, "Look, to be very frank with you, there are instructions from higher ups not to renew your passport." I said, "But why?" He says, "That's not clear. It's just that the file has been put aside, so it's not going to be renewed." I said, "Okay." And then we had a Margi brother who's now passed away, who was a lawyer in the Supreme Court. Incidentally, we met and he said, "Dada, I heard this happened with you. Why don't you file a writ in the Supreme Court, because your constitutional right has been violated?" I said, "Well, that's wonderful. How do I do that?" He said, "Just leave everything to me, arrange for the money, and we will file a writ." So he engaged one of the topmost lawyers, and even to stand from his chair, he would charge a very hefty fees. So anyway, we did file a writ in the Supreme Court, and case came for hearing because such cases are taken on a priority. And there was a bench of 3 judges, and the judge looked at our lawyer and he didn't say a word. He just kept sitting. And the government lawyer stood up and he said, "My lord, we need more time to prepare for this case. We need an adjournment." So another adjournment was given 2 weeks later. And after 2 weeks, again we went, and exactly the same thing happened. And I was thinking, I said, if more adjournments, then my date at the embassy would pass away. And that's the end of the application. So 2 weeks later, we go again. And I tell our lawyer, I said, "We've paid you so much money and you don't even say anything. You don't even get up from your chair." He said, "No, I know what I'm doing. I'm waiting for my turn." So the next hearing, when the judges were sitting and his turn came, he was almost like a tiger. And he said, "My lord, if my dates are not held, then my whole career will be in jeopardy. This is the time when you have to give your decision and grant my client his constitutional right to travel anywhere in the world." And he was very, very forceful. But the government's lawyer again stood up and said, "My lord, we need little more time because we have not been able to investigate." So the judge said, "Okay, this is the last time this case is being adjourned. If after 3 days when you come back, if you have nothing, then we have to take a decision." And inside I was thinking, I said, Baba, if it's not your will, why am I pursuing it? Let me withdraw my writ application. So we said, next hearing, we will decide what to do. So the next hearing came, and the same scenario, and our lawyer was standing on his feet and asking the judges to take a decision. And the government lawyer was saying not to take a decision because he didn't have enough information from the government. And I was thinking, I said, Baba, let this go. If it's not your will, let us finish. And then a man walks into the court and says something in the ears of the government lawyer, who stands on his feet and tells the judge, my lord, I'm happy to inform you that the government of India has decided to extend passport facilities to Mr. So-and-so. And the judge said, ordered, but the passport must be issued today. And I was happy. So what I noticed was that he would make us go up to the last 99th effort or hour, and then things would move. It was never like 50% effort we put and things started working in our favor. So this is exactly what happened. I got my passport and I went to Calcutta to have Baba's darshan before I went overseas. And there I was fortunate. The PA gave me the time. And when Baba was walking out of his room for a field walk, I took my chance and I was doing Sashtang right in front of me. Believe me, brothers and sisters, I had a wonderful, wonderful darshan. And Baba blessed me with something in Bengali. I didn't get a word of it, but it didn't matter. So I did my Sashtang, and here I am. Namaskar.